and then say, for example, you need to change your strength from like a 15 to a 16. You do that, hit next, and then go back, and then like hit X, and it's changed.
Oh.
You don't go all the way through, otherwise it'll doubling.
Oh yeah, let me see if it's done something it shouldn't have.
Yeah. At some point, I will have to disappear for about 15 minutes.
That's fine.
It'll more likely be sooner rather than later. So
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, that's
This
good.
is mostly just setting expectations.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Should be.
Oh right, I sent you I think it was the correct file for the character sheet. It's whatever the app exported. I have no idea
Yeah.
if it's the
Well,
correct one or not.
That's the right one.
Okay.
Oh, how do you do that?
Just click the little share icon right near your profile picture, and then where it says sharing one file, just share to Discord. Anyway. Ready to start my
Okay, I'm just making
Okay.
sure I've got the physical set. Why does he have all this armor? That's probably something he shouldn't have.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at the armor stuff in here. I don't even think I have any, so it's not relevant.
Some clerics will start with armor. Some of them do get armor.
I'm trying to think. I start with a lot of it. That's why I'm like, I wonder.
Is it like multiple sets?
Yeah, it's like I supposedly have scale mail, leather armor, and chainmail.
I think. Where are you seeing that? Are you seeing that in the character details?
I'm seeing that in my equipment.
Equipment, okay. So it's probably just
Stuff I'm allowed to equip?
no, you get one of the three.
Ah, I see.
So I suppose I should probably tell everybody about the campaign that we're going to be running.
Yes, that would be important.
So campaign is called The Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
The Lost Mine of Phandelver, and as the name implies, it's about a mine. Sure, sir.
That may or may not be lost.
So it takes place in a small pioneer town called Phandelver. So think kind of Wild West, but fantasy. So it's it's like a town kind of on the outskirts of society, and you are all acting as mercenaries within this town for a very wealthy dwarf. Anyways,
Oh, I didn't update the language thing he's supposed to have.
actually begins. I'll go ahead and over of 5th edition and kind of the way. So aside from Pines, has anybody ever like actually played TTRPG?
Not tabletop, no.
No.
So the tabletop RPG is different from a traditional RPG in that it is not the game that decides what happens, but the dungeon master or the referee, GM, the DM, or I mean sometimes they're just called game referees. In this game,
kind of amusing.
Yeah, you'll see why. In this game, that will be me, but future games, I mean, anybody can occupy that position.
Yeah.
Their job or their role in the story is to keep it forward. They've got kind of an outline that they can see that nobody else can see. They know, the motivations of the enemies. They know how tough the monsters are. They know where things are hidden, like secret passages and stuff. And so as the characters explore the world, this is all done like verbally. It's kind of a spoken game. You sit around a table, or around a virtual table, such as the case may be here, and you have kind of these symbolic tokens that show you what's going on in the story. So in this case, it's a bunch of maps. You've got like a map that shows you kind of where you are. So you can imagine, say, for example, that the coast of Neverwinter, known as the Sword Coast, is probably kind of beachy, rocky. If you've ever been to anywhere on the coast, you kind of know
Yes,
what to
Oregon
expect.
Coast, yes.
Yeah. And so the dungeon master fills in the details with kind of narration. The DM is kind of a narrator slash
Storyteller, you would
slash
say?
storyteller. Yeah. They have all of the characters in the game world in reference, and as the characters decide how to react to what they're presented and what they want to do, the dungeon master tells them whether what they do succeeds. He gives them more information to flesh out the world.
Yeah.
And play proceeds just kind of in that fashion. DM describing a situation or a reaction, players narrating their own actions, or sometimes role playing
I
directly.
have to run. I will be back.
Okay.
Gotcha. So you'll start to understand it as the game goes on.
Well,
But,
how you described it is how I've heard it described a couple times, so I'm pretty sure I'll pick up the gist of it pretty easily.
Yeah, once you get into it, it's really easy. Just say what you want to do. There's no manual involved. The hardest thing is learning your characters, able to recall them without constantly having to repeat, which may take a little while, but part of the learning.
It's kind of issues we've had with other tabletop stuff. Is like, oh, we have all these abilities and just forget to use them.
They're only there for an emergency, you know? You don't really need them, do ya?
When your starship is packed full of missiles and you forget to shoot the missiles.
Nah,
Yeah.
you just shoot the missiles at yourself, and then you become the bomb. It's so much better.
Just life. But yeah, you guys have any questions about how this will go, or what?
No, you summed it up pretty nicely. We're working for a nice dwarf, rich man, protecting some of his goods and transportation, and that's the basics. The rest will be told through the storyteller.
Excellent. We'll wait for Pines to get back before we start and do a little bit of intro. But figure I might as well ask some session 0 questions.
Do I need to join your session first, by the way? Or are you just hosting a local session for your table?
Yeah, I'll invite you. Padre.
Yes, I can.
Nice. Some figurines. So.
Redfish, get in here.
Okay, let me get my game opened.
I'm gonna be. Well, my character's coat of arms color is yellow, so I'll be yellow.
I'm just filling out more of the detail stuff as we talk. It's like I condense it down. I have a good idea of what I want. I just have not physically written it down yet. Mainly because being dyslexic sucks, and then realizing I have to physically spell it.
Don't worry, this is mostly math, not a lot of spelling.
Yeah.
Oh, I suck at maths.
Well,
I'm actually pretty good at it.
Don't worry, most of the math is automatic. It's real simple. It's like you roll a die and then add.
Okay, well, I can do that. It's simple.
Yeah, let's cover some questions. I just copied and pasted a. session checklist from the internet, which kind of has topics
Okay.
that cover here to give you an idea of what sort of questions may come up at press. The first up is XP. So it's something of a contentious topic sometimes. Have XP for solving conflicts on violence.
Yeah.
But I think in this campaign, it should be whether or not you talk someone down or get them on. Either way, you solve a conflict.
Resolve issue, get experience.
Yeah. So I think
It should be simple enough.
I would imagine it'd be pretty simple. Hopefully.
okay. So for this campaign, I'm thinking we're probably going to be using just experience and not milestones. Although in future campaigns, I do prefer milestones, which are you get a level up once you accomplish this thing, which, in my opinion, a much better way of playing the game because it
Oh.
You have to interact with the story or accomplish something, progress mechanically. You can't just, kill 700 goblins by waiting outside of a cave, ambushing for 5 sessions in a row in order to get, a certain amount of levels.
You know what that reminds me of, actually? There is a RPG conversion mod for Minecraft that makes the achievements, which don't actually give you anything in game, actually have you unlock crafting recipes and tech. So you have to go and progress through those milestones in order to progress further in the game.
That's pretty
It's
good.
actually very fun.
Pretty good. All right, next up, level ups. When do PC level up? Long rest, short rest, back in town, sessions. They gain an XP. So, this one I've kind of struggled with before because I get to a point where I think I veer toward trying to make things a little bit more realistic. Not super realistic, obviously. A world which magic and dimensional time travel is possible depending on your circumstance. Crazy powerful artifacts that can do weird stuff. But I think probably a long run. I guess it just depends on where on the slider the players and the dungeon want the game. Because there, in my mind, are 2 points. Either have kind of like a realistic simulation of what's going on, or you have like a video. So leveling up immediately as you gain speed, that's a video. Because narratively, how do you explain somebody being like, "Oh, I suddenly know how to use lightning"?
I mean, that might tie in more to like a milestone kind of thing where like, oh, he just so happened to reach the criteria then and there, and now he's learned how to use it because he earned it, compared to just level up, oh, I spent my points on this and now I have it.
That's true. Level ups in 5th edition D&D are based off of experience points, which can be gained from doing quests. So you accomplish things, you set a goal, and then you accomplish it through one way or another, and then you get the experience point. Progress, level ups and stuff. I think for this, we could probably set it to be...
I'm okay with it being more of a long rest, less video gamey. I'm okay with that.
Really, the question becomes how often does rest occur?
Long rests once a day.
It should be sufficient.
So there's long rests and there's short rests. The difference between them being short rests are basically like kind of taking a break in the middle of a dungeon. Long rests being you got back in town and you're like, finally.
The whole you slept for the day, basically. You ended your day.
Yeah, I much prefer that. Like, what you do during your day is what you have, and then after your day is done is what you can change.
All right. So this next section I don't think will be very applicable. It covers alcohol consumption. Let me read this off. Can players drink at the table? Do you care if your players get drunk? What happens when someone gets drunk? What happens when a player arrives to the session and they are already drunk? Should there be consequences? If so, what are the consequences? That's
Eh.
that's a
It's so
very
specific.
it's so specific. Just in asking those questions, it inspires thinking about a situation in which those sorts of topics are necessary. Where
Yeah.
like Gerald is always arriving to the D&D sessions just absolutely smashed. Like he comes there straight after spending like several hours at the bar. Um, that's to me is I don't know. I guess I'm stuck in this thought pattern of like only nerds and shut-ins play D&D, which has been the case in my experience. But I mean, that's just the people I spend time with, and also my.
Well, I mean, if he's showing up drunk to every single game, every single time, perhaps his punishment should less be in game and more be out of game. I think he needs an intervention.
Yeah, no, that's it's funny to think about these sorts of topics as like topics to cover for. All right, we're starting a D&D game, so curb your alcoholism.
Yeah.
Anyways,
What's going on with the map here, by the way? I noticed a weird seam. I put a box down.
oh, that's probably just a processing.
It's weird. It's getting cut off.
It is. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Something way.
Just scribble on whatever it's supposed to be.
We'll just call it
Here.
way. Maybe
Here, I
there's
got
some
you.
sort of a dimensional portal around here. The way they decided to. All right. And the next topic is, of course, narcotics, which I think will be a non-issue.
Yeah.
I only cast spells when I'm high. I'm sorry.
Yep. That's a requirement. That's some RPGs how it works. Kind of like Dune with the spice.
Yes,
Mm.
exactly.
All right. Anyway, next topic of conversation: cell phones and digital devices. Given that you are currently on a digital device, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that means I'm kicked out of the session.
Yep, not allowed.
Well, okay, I go
Just
now.
gonna sit in a room alone by myself because I don't allow digital devices. Just like yeah, just thinking about playing Dungeons and Dragons for 2 hours, and then like arrive next week after we've finished the campaign and be like, so what did everybody think?
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. I split the world in half with a spell I didn't even know I could do.
Oh, that's crazy! I didn't even notice.
Yeah, you were on the unsplit half. You didn't notice half the world fall off.
It's okay. That just means the world is technically flat now.
That's how it is sometimes. But all right, it mostly covers distractions and like if somebody gets a call or how cut off you are from the outside world because the way some tables play, they put all their phones like airplane mode and like put them all in a box, which I understand because
Yeah.
you're there at that point. You don't have anything tugging at your attention. It would be nice to have not that exactly, but it can help with immersion. To reduce distractions, so like putting Discord in Do Not Disturb, phone on Do Not Disturb temporarily. I mean, obviously, if there's like a really important call that somebody take, then that's fine. I'm not going to get in the way of anybody's personal life or urgency. Kind of a soft introduction, so I won't be taking it too seriously. But that is the suggestion that I'm going to make.
No, your life is on hold. You signed up for a D&D session.
Some people take this really seriously.
Yeah.
So next is player attention. So for the 2 hours, I will request that you either interacting with the game or like looking at your character sheet, because this is a pretty condensed session. 2 hours, I think, is enough time that we could probably focus through most of it. Maybe like a little bit of an intermission in the middle, because focus does tend to wane after 60 in most game sessions. That's like the maximum amount of time to sit and concentrate on one thing at a time before needing to switch.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably try and do that. Maybe have a small intermission about halfway through, so that everybody can grab a snack and kind of get their bearings. Because this can be a like mentally taxing, because you are processing a lot of information. Just look at the map. Imagine I start asking people where they want to go, and then suddenly you've got a book with a bunch of locations and descriptions. It can sometimes be a little bit of information. So, as far as this goes, I'd say for these sessions, let's do, let's say a 10 to 20-minute break kind of in the middle, with focus kind of on either. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah, I'd say that's fine.
I thought for a second there over here it said very wood. I was like, well, yeah, of course. Of
That's
course.
Versey Wood.
Yeah.
Next to the Tortured Land.
Lovely place.
If you skipped Turnback Mountain, you really should have listened to the name.
God.
Oh no! Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
Uh,
Good old Black Ops 3.
It's just kind of next to a glacier. There's nothing actually cold about it. No frost on those trees.
The joke's on you. It's just like Iceland. It's actually secretly green in there, and it's actually warm. They just called it the frozen forest because they didn't want people to show up.
That would be fantastic.
Just like the high ice, except I imagine that's actually icy considering it's on a mountaintop. But maybe the ice is warm for some reason.
Woof. So disruptive topics are real life topics like religion, politics, etc. Okay at the table. About sports, are there other topics that are disruptive? It's okay to talk about these before the session starts, but not during the session. These topics, distractions, disruption, online DMs will be an issue for offline DMs. Players an hour or so early, so they a bit of socializing before the session. So what do you guys think? I suppose we'll kind of get a feel for what we want to address.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to bring up politics, religion, or sport unless it's really applicable.
I think for
honestly,
us, it's less about those specific topics, more about like ADHD moments where
oh yeah,
something happens in the game and you're like, "Oh my god, did I tell you about this time my car?" Like whatever.
yep, that's gonna be me.
Yeah. So how do we want to handle that? Do we want to try and avoid that, or do we want to let it happen?
Well, I'd say if we're not in an intermission or something, we'll try and avoid that. I'd say because going, oh yes, I found. Oh crap, a spider's about to bite me in character, right? And go, oh yeah, it's like that time I found that spider in my pillow a couple nights ago. That was scary.
Gotcha.
It kind of takes you out of it.
Now this next question, when it comes to like game commentary, that I have experienced is like kind of a constant thing, and it's part of the fun of playing the game. Like, say for example, something funny happens in the game. It can be like kind of a fun time to, I don't know, make a comment about it. It's a thing that I've noticed just kind of happens. Say for example, get attacked by a goblin that rolls a nat 1 and ends up like hitting a dead tree that ends up like, I don't know, just some ridiculous, unlikely turn of events that's like, oh, guffaw.
Yeah.
Um, now that's another question. Do we want to draw the line at completely non-game related discussions, or just at meta conversation? Because in some tables, you have to be in character for the entire.
I don't think I'd be able to stay in character the entire time.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I would say since it's our first session, we'd be a bit lax on that, right? Because we're learning.
Okay.
I'm gonna try my best to stay in character as long as I can.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you won't be like in character the entire time, because you'll obviously need to describe the actions of your character, and for that you can't do that in character because I mean, what sort of person wants
Alternatively, narrate your actions from first person.
Or be some weird character who talks in the third person and then it somehow makes sense.
just always in the third person? So there's no in character discussion. They just always talk in the whatever they do, and everybody else at the table is just like, yeah, that's Ragnar. That's normal for them, I guess. From what I understand, he's never seen another human.
Ragnar crushed goblin with skull, his own skull.
Oh my god. Just some like 6'7" barbarian from the high ice. Just never seen another human being. Just been living his entire 14 years of existence eating polar bears raw after killing them with his own hand.
Yeah.
Right now, I want to play a character that's like that.
They could be fun. They could be really fun. Okay, so
I missed anything too much or no?
say what?
Did I miss any?
We've just been doing sessions stuff. So all we've gone over is that level ups will happen on a long rest. We won't be using milestones for the campaign. It'll be XP based, but XP will be awarded no matter how you resolve a conflict. You don't have to kill enemies so long as you like accomplish your goal. You get the XP for it.
Makes sense.
So, a few more things for cell phones and digital devices. It's suggested to put your Discord and phone into Do Not Disturb, so there's nothing to pull you away from the game. That being said, if there's something important, like you have to go run an errand or emergency, then that's fine. Nothing we can really do about that. It's difficult enough to find time to play the game, so might as well take what we get as far as. And then as far as focus on the game and out of game, I am we would be having an intermission from in the middle for about 20 minutes to allow people to kind of get a snack and let their brains cool off and get back into the game. The session will be bisected. 50 minutes.
We'll be right after back. Wow, I cannot speak. Never mind. Forget I was saying anything.
Okay, I will zap that from my mind, like Ragnar bisecting the session.
Yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about right now. In fact, where?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Perfect.
As far as disruptive topics, keep any non-game discussion to a minimum, if not an absolute zero. But meta commentary is allowed. So if it's discussion about the game or a game that isn't necessarily in character, that's fine. So as far as unannounced dice rolls, what do we want to do here? Because generally, sometimes a problem when a player decides they're going to do a thing. They don't say anything. They roll the die, and then they just announce that they like got X value on like an attack roll. I will say that they have to be announced in order to count.
You have to declare what you're doing.
Yeah, basically, just say I would like to perform an investigation check, and then I say, all right, go ahead, and then you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds simple enough.
Yep, makes sense to me. That's basically how I've always done it.
Oh look, I got an achievement. played Tabletop Simulator 10 hours. Had it open.
Nice.
Dice rolls against one. So this is a very interesting one. So how do you guys want to do this? Because this is it's kind of a very personal role play style sort of thing. So can like, for example, persuasion, intimidation, or like charm, like checks, can those be allowed against players? So say, for example, Mouse, you and Pines are beefing about, I don't know, like a bologna sandwich that you found. One of you wants it. The other one is just like, no, that's my bologna sandwich. Oh, hey, look at this. This is a skull. Like a little skull there. Sorry, I'm kidding.
ADHD moment.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Shh, look at that. So say, for example, Pines wants to roll to convince you, Mouse, that that's his sandwich. He wants to say, for example, this isn't the only option, but he wants to intimidate you. So he rolls an intimidation check, and he rolls high. So are you going to respect that? Yes, he just intimidated your character, or is it going to be just like your character's actions are dictated solely by you and not by like in-game factors?
No, if he rolls an intimidation and scares the crap out of poor Lars, heck yeah, I allow that.
All right, how does everybody else feel?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I would say if it works like we're appropriate, so like in that conversation, like for like the sandwich, like he tries to intimidate, and I may potentially try to persuade him. Right, so it's like something like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right. Dice rolls
yeah, it's like
against-
basically I would feel like if it feels appropriate to roll, then yeah, go for it.
I'll call for a roll when necessary. That's
Yeah.
that's the DM discretion. So this next section, very similar, player versus player. So do we want to allow room for the characters in the session to like start beefing, like potentially violently?
Potentially violently.
Yeah, because player versus player combat can sometimes happen.
I would say where applicable, though that wouldn't be my primary focus, is to murder my party members.
Yeah, I would say allow but avoid.
Yeah, I would say I would agree.
Okay, so we'll be.
We're not actively out to murder each other, but there may be a scenario where combat actually does happen.
It's not like strictly disallowed, but it's not something that can't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's something like where it would appropriately happen, if you will.
Gotcha. All right. When it comes to PC secrets, we want to have all knowledge found and discovered by the party shared, or do we want to have player characters be able to kind of hoard information that they know and choose whether or not to tell?
I would. So these would be for like the NPC characters, right?
No, your
No.
player character.
Oh, party members.
Yeah, so-
I'm fine if they don't want to say everything about their character or if they have a motivation or something, right? Because I feel like that's just realistic. You wouldn't exactly if you were
Well-
traveling with some dude, you wouldn't know everything about him.
I think what
immediately.
he's asking here, Mouse, is like, so say you read a book and you are not obligated to share what you found with the party.
Yeah, say the other party is in another room in the dungeon. You find a book. You open it. You're like, oh, this is a Necronomicon. It's like horribly evil, and you know that your other party members would have opinions about it. But you're like, I'm gonna hold on to this and not tell them. So shut it. You like put it in your backpack. Nobody knows.
I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for simplicity's sake, we should probably assume that we're sharing information we find, unless we specifically say that we're hiding that information. Because that can avoid situations where it's like, I thought I told you about this a session ago.
Yeah.
True.
That's a good point. Because then you write down stuff that your character doesn't know. So
Yeah.
that you're aware that you don't have that information. Right. This next part is about player expectations, types, goals, and diversity. So what are you guys wanting to get out of the game? I know Pines is mostly exploration and problem solving.
Oh, that is me,
Puzzles?
yes.
I honestly like that myself. I'm just here for the ride, I'd say. I don't exactly have any set expectation of where it'll take me other than just take me on an adventure.
Yeah, I don't really have an expectation myself either, so.
Okay. Well, there will definitely be some puzzles and exploration.
I like that.
Yeah. I know I'm absolutely awful at the role playing side of the game, so I lean into the side that I can participate in decently.
That's fine. Roleplay isn't always necessarily adopting an accent or specific set of behaviors. It can just be, I don't know, any interaction with the game. I personally enjoy like putting on an accent and trying to change my speech patterns, but that's more just like a personal. I think it's fun to do kind of hobby. I don't expect everybody to get the same things out of it. All right. So there are some next. So coming up next, there's a few kind of personal rules. This is generally a good way to cover these topics at a table, because over like player discomfort. Are there anything? And you can DM this to get out loud. Any topics that we should avoid? Because I know some people have phobias or triggers that are kind of personal, which make the gameplay experience uncomfortable. So I'd like to try and avoid those if at all possible. So if there's any, go ahead and send that my way.
I mean, anything notable for me, we're already not doing anyway. So
Okay.
basically, the only things that I would be uncomfortable with in a game session is everything overly explicit. Like gore and stuff is fine, but the other half of the explicit rating, which we said we were already banning anyway, so it's not an issue for me.
Yeah. I don't think that should be a problem. I'm pretty milk toast myself. I know some people use these games as an excuse to just kind of let loose, like do that. They treat it as like a Cards Against Humanity experience, which can sometimes be fun, but other
That
times
could be funny. I could see that.
Other times it just kind of gets uncomfortable and ruined. So touching base at the first session and kind of regularly throughout the game is an easy way to avoid that, because it's not a thing that comes out of nowhere. It's like, hey, we've talked about this and this is what we've decided.
Yeah, so to me, it's not necessarily something like forbidding you to do, but it's like stuff like making contracts with like demonic figures is something I will personally never do.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily like I would forbid you from doing it from a roleplay sense, but just none of my characters will like ever do that.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
So something along those lines.
Gotcha. All right. So,
other than that, it's like what's with already has been brought up, it's like more or less the same. Elsewise.
And so since this is being streamed, I think anything that would get us demonetized is probably going to be avoided.
Yes.
So that's less of a. It's more of a problem when you're like in a room with people offline and sometimes a little bit crazy. All right, I think that settles that point. Next up, it's player agency. So, let me explain what that means. So, given that this is a roleplay game, I have control over the environment, over the player characters, over the world. I can basically make anything happen that I want. Although I have a responsibility to use that power and not abuse it, because I could say, for example, all right, the earth splits open and you are swallowed into the fires of hell. But if that's it and you just die, that's not really very much fun. If it's to further the plot, that's one thing. But if you just like fall and then splat, you're a pancake. Or if like one of the gods just squashes you with his index finger, like while you're on the road minding your own business.
Yeah.
You know, I can make that happen. I won't. I won't do that sort of a thing. And in relation to that, what player agency is how much control you have over your player. So I will generally not assign feelings, reactions, or other emotions outside of mechanical stuff. Like if you're charmed by magic, I will let you know about that. And you will
Yeah.
be bound by those rules. But outside of that, how your character reacts to situations, unless there's some sort of a magical intervention, or you have like a parasite in your brain that's controlling you or something like that, you'll have full control over your. I won't. I won't interfere there. At the stage, you are totally up to you how you react.
Okay, that's fine with me.
So yeah, this also covers things like lycanthropy, which is a condition. In this game, in D&D, you can have like a medical condition that turns you into a werewolf. So when that sort of a thing happens, control will be wrestled from you, as in you won't be in control of your character, you won't know what you do. That's something that can sometimes change mechanically depending on what sort of interventions you use when you have control. But I'm not going to try and make your character do anything normally that they wouldn't, that you wouldn't have, if that makes sense.
I mean, if he turns into a werewolf and murders the neighbor's sheep herd, I mean, that's kind of what I expect.
Yeah.
He's a wolf. What do you expect? Also, this is another ADHD moment, probably, but what is this place? I'm honestly curious.
The
I
big
highlighted
wood
it in
of
box.
sharp teeth. That's a good question. I don't
Oh
know.
no, that's not it. It's Sarthitsun.
Oh, given by the like punctuation, I'm guessing that's a lizard folk settlement.
Okay. That's what I figured. I was just curious. I
Especially
saw
since
him like.
there's this place called the Serpent Hills right next.
So, all right. We've got that set. Is there anything else on our list we need to go over?
A few things. Game balance and fairness. So I am a fan of games that are stories, in that there are always ways that you can handle situations well, and it will depend on how pragmatically you approach a situation. Like if you do something stupid, that'll further the plot. It may not further the plot in a convenient way, but it will keep going. And no matter what you do, you're going to get to the end of the story.
Basically speaking, it's gonna kind of be like actual like RPG video games where they have a kind of a linear path, but you can choose your actions in the middle, which will have some effect on it, but it'll still mostly end the same.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most fun thing to do, because I've played games before where it was just like, if you wish to sabotage yourself, you absolutely can. And the story just peters out and nothing really happens. And like, it's novel at first where you're just like, wow, I can play a game where I absolutely shoot myself in the foot. And that's the game, which is, it's novel because not used to being able to do that. In most video games, there's like invisible rails that keep on the path without you having to do anything about it. But I feel like when it comes to stories like this, it's just kind of an unsatisfying way to play. So I feel like there should be a few kind of invisible rails to say, oh, the story will keep going. Like, you are literally the main characters. So you do have an advantage over the other monsters or characters in this story. You'll always come out on top, more or less. You may suffer setbacks, mutilations, perhaps even deaths,
Ooh,
but the story will continue.
I'm gonna lose my pinky toe.
Yes, first game I ever DM'd. someone lost his arm to a.
Ooh,
Ooh.
not getting that one back.
They were playing basically a knockoff of Guts, so I was just like, "Oh, he's still got both arms. I can't allow that to happen." That was like destined, but
It had to be.
right, PCs are the main characters, the main types of their setbacks, and be named or killed, but the story will proceed. Okay. So, rules debate. I don't think this will be so much of an issue since you guys aren't really like you're not veterans, so you'll mostly just be taking my word for it if I say, "Oh, this is what happens when you roll this, or what happens when you roll that." But for the future, I think in the moment, judgments will be so. Like, if I just make a ruling on the spot, you can go back and look at it later. But in the moment, probably better to just keep the story going and keep the flow going than to disrupt.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, spotlight share. This is. Are players allowed to have spotlight focus, or will the spotlight only be focused on the whole? Are players or characters allowed to steal another spotlight? What happens if a player or his or her character tramples over another scene or spotlight? This kind of thing can ruin players' fun, but it's also kind of that player won't. Also, the kind that player won't immediately voice their. So this is less of a problem with fewer people. With games that have more folks, it can get to a point where nobody can really do anything because everybody kind of starts talking all at once. And then things move forward just kind of as a group consensus. So it feels less like you're playing a character and more like you're part of a community,
Yeah.
which can sometimes be kind of a little bit dull. I don't think it'll be so much of a problem, but if it ever does become a problem, I'll say we can establish like a spotlight initiative based off of everybody's charisma fire.
Yeah. And this is potentially one of those scenarios where you roll against each other.
Well,
Perhaps.
you will be kind of. I'll
Yeah.
let you know how initiative works later as get into.
So in my mind, I'm okay if another player will steal the spotlight of another player's current moment if it's like applicable kind of thing. But if they're being malicious about stealing it all the time, which I doubt anybody will do, that's kind of where I would draw the line on that one.
Sure.
No,
Okay.
no, give me your attention. I require it.
I mean, Pines always will win all of those anyway. He's Pines. Like, come on, how can you not pay attention to him?
Hopefully, that's not what happens.
Steals all the eyeballs.
Give
But,
me
like-
your eyes.
Lend
My-
me your ears.
At least with how our party is, I don't think we'll have much conflict in that to begin with, because everybody has a differing background, and everybody has differing stats and differing classes. So I doubt there's going to be too much overlap in, like, say, interacting with NPCs or in those types of moments, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be the biggest issue.
I don't think so.
But then again, I've never played the game, so who do I know? What do I know?
If it does become an issue, if it ever becomes a problem, then what we can do is establish a charisma-based initiative and then just take turns. Or in order for somebody else to interact, the person has to end their turn.
Yeah.
So I doubt it'll be a problem. If it is, though, we can adopt that. So next up, it is meta knowledge. So explain what that is, what that means. Is it okay for players to know weapon at a ghost will not harm it? Are characters allowed to know that trolls don't regenerate health when harmed by fire? What about when it comes multiple? Just because the wizard player knows rogue rolled low for his check for traps, would it make sense for the character to insist that he check as well? If some meta knowledge is okay and others are not, discuss that. It's talked about like it's some sort of sin sometimes. But can sometimes be fine. So, what do you guys think? Do we want to try and establish borders there, or do we want to just play it in kind of a video game sense, in that all the player characters kind of know that they're in a game a little bit and know things that they wouldn't necessarily know based off of their.
So for me, this is coming from somebody who doesn't know the game and is playing as a guy who doesn't actually know the world. I'm okay with not knowing things
Okay.
and experiencing them naturally.
It's not a
But-
problem if you don't know outside of the game, because then what you're learning as your character and what you're learning as your player are kind of exactly the same, which is fun, and that's probably the most immersive experience you.
Like, that's what I'm going for. But if there's something that I should know and my character would probably know to his background, I wouldn't mind if somebody went, "Hey, you can do that," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I'll make sure to explain that yes, you would know, or you have this background information. You know this, you know that. I don't know.
So
what does everybody else think? Pines?
Yeah, I'm fine with like a very small amount. Well, I try to lean away from meta knowledge myself, but I completely understand when people want to use it to their advantage. So
The thing
I-
is, like, personally, I think I would end up subconsciously using the meta knowledge anyway. So,
um
I guess a simple way to put it is I'm okay with getting nothing unless I ask for it and I really, really, really want to know. But if I don't ask for it, I basically don't care if I know or not.
I mean, you can always kind of gate meta knowledge behind like a knowledge or a perception check anyway.
Ooh, yeah, actually, that would
Yeah.
be a cool way of doing it too. Is somebody asks for something and they go, "Okay, roll for this." That would be an interesting way of doing it.
that might be a better way of handling it consistently.
I think so. All right. Next steps are about min-maxing. I'm just going to skip that. I don't think anybody here has a min-maxed character, and we've already done character creation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the game to properly min-max it anyway, so...
I think
Give
we're
him
fine
some
there.
time.
And this won't necessarily be about having good stats. Stats just influence like the probability you succeed, depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right. Character party fit. So this can sometimes be a big issue when you've got one character who the player who's playing them intentionally designed them to be antisocial. So at every junction, they're just like, I go off and do my own thing, or I ignore, or I refuse to cooperate, or I start a fight, etc. And that can sometimes get annoying. Some people enjoy it, but generally that's I don't know. I think it's fun sometimes because it's like fictional conflict where you get to like yell at somebody in game and then just be like, haha, nice game, see you next week. Which probably sounds a little bit weird, but fictional like inter-party conflict I think can be fun. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people have a really hard time kind of separating between their character, like who they are as people, and so it can, feelings can stuff. So, what do we think as far as personality, character, party fit? Do we want to try and like shift things so that everybody who's there in game wants to be there, or are we going to allow kind of the personality type that is just kind of antisocial?
I mean, I don't have necessarily any complaints about that. I believe it would fit well enough in most scenarios. I don't think anybody's intentionally designed a person who's just contrary to be contrary. So
I don't think.
Like, I don't think I did, so...
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
think
it
we'll
wasn't
be
my intention to, if that's what ends up happening.
this just circles back to player conflict again, and just people disagreeing on where people should go or not go, as in an in-character setting, right? I think it'll be fine if we allow it, because if one person disagrees, I think the other two would likely agree, kind of thing, or just say, "Oh yeah, he kind of disagrees. He'll still go along with it."
All right. I think that's most of everything here. So Next up, we've got murder. Does everybody know what that is? Has anybody
I
heard
do.
that? Okay, you've heard that term before? Everybody else?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
quite familiar with the term.
Okay.
He sounds like a man who speaks from experience.
So what do we think? Yes or no?
I've got no
Um,
problem with it if people want to do it.
Okay.
I
Oh,
feel like if it's within reason, so like I decide I decide to randomly murder the village for no reason whatsoever. Probably should have a good explanation as to why you randomly decided to do that.
I would say if you're gonna go on a mass murdering spree, there needs to be some justification or loss of sanity, right?
well, it was clearly because I was being a little bit random and quirky.
I mean, I
needed
guess
some
if
souls for the Spider Queen.
it's like I guess if that's your character, then that's your character, right? You have a character reason for that.
But
You're secretly just sacrificing people on the side. Like every village you go to, you have to sacrifice one NPC that nobody knows about.
That can sometimes happen if you've got one evil or cursed party member. Otherwise, go to a neutral party.
But yeah, I would say I'm okay with it. I don't necessarily have an issue with it. I'm just more of the kind of person who would like there to be a reason behind it other than just, oh, I'm treating it like a video game.
Gotcha. So all violent actions should be explicable with in-game logic.
Yes. So
Gotcha.
if it's part of their religion or their belief or just how they are by nature, that's fine. But if
Okay.
it's against their nature and they're just doing it for the sake of doing it,
Yeah, they're just trying
Then,
to be funny, or they're just like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I killed this guy.
don't let the intrusive thoughts win.
Okay. All right. All right. So that's pretty much all the table rules. So next up is my DM. So I'm pretty close to rules as written, although I have a few house rules that I apply. Like for example, when rolling a first level character, I don't have you roll for HP. I let you use the maximum HP. That's just one example. I tweak the main rules a little bit, and sometimes I'll ignore rules if they're unfun.
Okay.
Can't think of a list off the top of my head. But I generally try and make it a story. It's for me generally about storytelling, exploring what kind of a character you are. The in-game immersion is a big factor for me. So being able to kind of get into the setting and get into a flow in roleplay, very high on my list of priorities. So I try and encourage that. And so it's less about the mechanics of building a strong character. Like if you compare it to a video game, it's about having fun in an RPG and not finishing it in the time with maximized. So
Yeah.
winning to me is enjoying the experience, and I try and encourage.
I would agree with that, honestly. I'm more in it for the story, less than, quote, winning. What happens is what happens, and that's what makes the story.
Yep. That's basically what I'm here for, too. So
Sometimes, though, I will admit I get a little bit insecure about not being able to keep things consistent enough. So I have in the past had trouble with trying to interrupt the story flow to make things more homogenous or explicable. So if you catch me doing that, just let me know. Some people care about it, some people don't as much, and that's fine. But in the past, I've sometimes just stopped events because they didn't make sense to me. Them to make sense. I try and not do that as much. That's one of my biggest problems, though. I try to maximize the immersion, but it has the unintended consequence of sometimes ruining immersion because the story stops moving, and then it turns into a debate about well, what do we do here? There, I'll try and do that at the minimum.
Okay. I mean, that's fine if that does pop up. I honestly understand where you're coming from there and some of the things I've written. I get that way sometimes, so.
It's kind of a show must go on thing where sometimes it's stuck on something.
Yep.
I need to I'll try and combat
Just like
that.
a stage performance in that sense. That's the first thing they teach you. You mess up, doesn't matter, keep going.
Yep. I'm better at improv than I am at learning my lines, so to speak. So sometimes the story can take interesting directions, as I will improv away from the way the story is written, and then reread it and be like, oh no, I'm trying to find a re-entry point. So be prepared for that, but it should be fine.
Yeah.
As far as player absences, now this is a big one. I know everybody can't make it to every session, and actually, next week I may or may not be here, depending on. Probably won't have time for a stream, so this will probably be first session, and then waiting 2 weeks to continue the story. Isn't ideal, but I'll try and write everything down. And of course, this is recorded, so I can just watch it and catch up.
Yeah.
When one of you is absent, which I know is sometimes unavoidable, how do you want to play it? Do you want to have your character just be mysteriously absent, or do you want to have them just kind of be there on autopilot, not really saying or doing anything?
Well,
Or do we want to cancel sessions where everybody? That's the secret.
I'm not necessarily opposed to a session continuing if I can't make it, for example.
Personally,
I would say that my character, if I were absent, I would just say, oh, he'll just hang out in the village or whatever. He's not doing it today.
It's okay. Just whenever we finish the first little part of our campaign, just curse us all with something that makes us go intangible at random intervals.
You just
oh yeah,
fall
and
into
then
the
they'll just
wagon,
remember
be like,
nothing
"All
of the
right, load his body up."
experience.
Yeah.
it's like you randomly clip into the void for 2 weeks.
Well, it was nice knowing you.
they're just pulling you down like a forest trail in one of those radio flyer wagons, and you defeat some goblins. You just yell, "Did you get that?" And you just see little XP numbers appear over their comatose body.
Yeah. So to me, it's like it would be whatever makes the most sense. Like if they're just on autopilot or they're just doing something away from the party.
Okay, so you just ignore them. Just it's a plot hole. Just don't think about
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to think about how in this universe there's just a deity that summons voids to pull people's consciousness into to turn them into basically zombies for a couple of weeks at a time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe that's our final boss.
We have to defeat the reason we're all absent occasionally.
Get him. All right.
It writes itself.
I am going to say that if we've got more than one player absent, then I'm probably just.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That would probably be a good call.
All right. So player narrative authority. This is a fun one, and it's one that it doesn't get talked about a whole lot. Do I allow my players to have some narrative authority in? How much say do I allow the game per player? For example, can the cleric player create the deity follow, and the DM allow you to decide what the personality, domain, etc. is? Or do they have to select one from the book? Does the Goliath have a tribe or herd? Who is the herd? Paladin follow a specific sector order? Maybe the fighter is a farmer. So now there is a whole farm in your game that when the player arrives at, the fighter player now becomes a long way allowing players to feel attached to the game setting. I will say yes. I will say, as far as your background, you have more or less complete control. There are corners of the world where you are from. Those corners are yours to set up. I'm not going to do that for you, and I think it really doesn't make sense, because given that if in the game you are returning to your homeland, your character would know the most about this. That doesn't make much sense if you as the player don't really know much about it, or have only learned a few things from reading about it in the setting. Or, for example, if it's something of my own invention, or if I did the writing, doesn't really work. So I'll say, got pretty much the narrative authority starts at your player and extends to their background, or any.
Okay. I'm fine with
Sounds fair
that.
to me.
I mean, that's why I wrote up that little tidbit about the family history for the background, so.
Cool.
Oh, dumb question, or I guess not dumb question. Where are these mines at?
So the
For
mines are outside of Phandelver, which are going to be But they don't come in until later. I'll kind of
Okay. No, I was because if it's kind of near the ocean, since my character's whole thing is he's just starting out doing adventuring stuff, I was gonna see what the nearest body of water is, since
Phandelver is going to be on this map somewhere.
yeah, I'll look for it, and then I'll figure that out.
Unless
Don't worry about it too much.
this is the world.
Oh,
where-
it's up here. It's
Oh.
right here.
Right
Excellent,
there.
Yeah. Then you've got the
Yeah.
Sea of Swords.
Cool. Oh, I do not like the name of the place we're near then.
Hmm?
There's a certain body of water just off the coast. The Mere of Dead Men.
Don't
Huh.
worry. You know how sealers are. They like to kill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, surely there's nothing bad that's over there.
Nothing.
You know
bad can
what?
happen.
Now I have a reason for my hometown's fishing troubles and why it got abandoned.
Do it.
You fished up more bodies than you did fish.
Maybe. Some of them were still kicking too.
Oh no.
Okay. Last up is pet peeve. So I don't know if I have any pet peeves.
The only one that comes to mind for me is over the top min maxi. That's it. I don't think that's going to be an issue with anybody here, but when people like pause to min max every little detail that they possibly can at every point, it's like, look, we got to sit here 15 minutes every time you're doing this, man.
Yeah. So anything that disrupts the flow.
To be honest, I can't think of anything in particular at this time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I've got no major pet peeves, so any
My-
pet peeves I have, I can get through.
My only main one is like when people are only half paying attention to the game. And I mean it's understandable when it happens from time to time. Things come up, but like when it's for a whole session it just gets tedious.
Yeah, I understand that. If it's like every single time, it's like, okay, it's your turn. Wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, I've played with a few people that were constantly distracted, like on their phone the whole game. So
I think everybody has. Not in any games I've specifically run because I will call that out and tell people no.
You go to the dungeon.
Like I have a water bottle that I keep near my and
I'll go fill my water bottle, and I've got one with a spray cap to it. So just let me know, and I'll spray myself with it.
I'll send you a message and like spray yourself.
It's okay. You can make that a point redeem on Twitch. Spray pines.
It's gonna be a new program.
Just set up the splash cam.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, no. I've seen people before who are just like on their Nintendo like the entire time just playing some other game because they literally just cannot stand to sit for a minute and think about what they're gonna do. They just have no way to be able to do something.
Mm.
Anyway, anything else?
I don't think so. Oh yeah, I did get that character sheet put onto my computer. Let me send it to you, Omega, to make sure I even have the right thing.
So I've got all the session 0 notes written down, so we can go back to those. I think that covers most of the intro. Why don't you sheet? And as soon as you're done, we can start doing a little bit of.
Oh, lovely! I can't wait for this part. Let me get all of my non-important doodles off of the board.
That's
Apparently I
fine.
have to
You
message
can leave them
you
at the building.
first.
Okay.
Every week we're going to graffiti the board a little bit more.
I think there's an option to just save.
Yes, you can
this-
save a session.
Yeah.
How,
You go to
I think this is the right thing
Menu?
you need.
so you go. Oh, I can't access the thing. You would go to games, the games tab, and there would be a sub tab underneath that.
You have to tell me if
save and
that's the
load.
right thing or not.
So the top bar games. So like if you were to select a new table, and you can save load. It'll auto save whenever you close a session as well.
Excellent. I don't get. Excellent. All right. So
You have to tell me if any of that stuff is wrong because I basically just export it from the app directly.
that's what I'm looking for. All right. So that
It's time to play Dungeons and Dragons. Boy,
Dragons and dungeons.
Dragon and Dungeons. Oh, why are there two little yellow dots up here? I didn't mean to put them. My pen is leaking. I apologize.
It's okay. It happens.
so I'll give you
Uh.
guys the background. I think that's important that you have at least that. Give you a little narration.
Okay.
More than 500 years ago, clans of dwarves and gnomes made an agreement known as the Phandelver's Pact, by which they would share a rich mine in a wondrous cavern known as Wave Echo Cave. In addition to its mineral wealth, the mine contained great magical power. Human spellcasters allied themselves with the dwarves and gnomes to channel and bind that energy into a great forge called the Forge of Spells, where magic items could be crafted. Times were good, and the nearby human town of Phandelver prospered as well. But then, disaster struck when orcs swept through the north and laid waste to all in their path. A powerful force of orcs, reinforced by evil mercenary wizards, attacked Wave Echo Cave to seize its riches and magic treasures. Human wizards fought alongside their dwarf and gnome allies to defend the Forge of Spells, and the ensuing spell battle destroyed much of the cavern. Few survived the cave-ins and tremors, and the location of Wave Echo Cave was lost. For centuries, rumors of buried riches have attracted treasure seekers and opportunists to the area around Phandelver, but no one has ever succeeded in locating the lost mine. In recent years, people have resettled the area. Phandelver is now a rough and tumble frontier town. More important, the Rockseeker brothers, a trio of dwarves, have discovered the entrance to Wave Cave, and they intend to reopen the mines. Unfortunately for the Rockseekers, they're not the only ones interested in Wave Echo Cave. A mysterious villain and his agents have followed the Rockseekers, their prize. Now, they are taking steps to ensure no one else. And you can treat that as meta knowledge. Your characters know the first part, but the second bit about the cave, about what's going on there, that's less present in the mind, but it's important for the, I guess, narrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, you guys are in the city of Neverwinter when your dwarf patron and friend, his name is Gundren Rockseeker, hires you to escort a wagon to. He's gone ahead with a warrior named Sildar Hallwinter to attend to business in the town, while you guys follow with supplies. You paid 10 gold points by the owner of Barthen's Provisions in Phandalin when you deliver the wagon safely to the trading. So, you guys are. You're on the road to Phandalin on a wagon. It's a very simple wagon, kind of a normal covered wagon with four wooden wheels and two oxen driving it. It's going down a give you actual blurb. Start us off officially. In the city of Neverwinter, a dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker asked you to bring a wagon load of provisions to the rough and tumble settlement of Phandelver, a couple of days' travel southeast of the city. Gundren was clearly excited by, and more than a little secretive, about his reasons for the trip, saying only that he and his brothers had found something big, and that he'd pay you 10 gold pieces each for escorting his supplies safely to Barthen's Provisions, a trading post in Phandalin. He set out ahead of you on horse, along with a warrior escort named Sildar Hallwinter, claiming he needed to arrive early to, quote, take care of business. You've spent the last few days following the high road south from Neverwinter, and you've just recently veered east along the Tribor Trail. You've encountered no trouble so far, but this territory can be dangerous. Bandits and outlaws have been known to lurk along the trail.
Okay, so my first question is, do we know what provisions they are? Like, have we
they
been
were
able to
pretty
actually...
secretive about that.
They weren't secretive about the provisions. Actually, you can look if you want. They're all stored within crates and bags that have been bound. So it will take some time to open and some time to close. If you want to be nosy, you can. But I mean, you're basically truckers.
I guess the question is does he have an issue if we actually decide to look? Do we know that?
That's meta knowledge.
That's why I'm asking. Is do we know whether or not he'd have an issue with? Like, did we talk about beforehand? Did he tell us specifically not to open them?
He didn't tell you specifically not to open them, but it is general knowledge that it's traditionally frowned upon for couriers, such as you are right now, to investigate.
Okay, so yeah, that would be my question right there.
I mean, you played Fallout New Vegas.
Well, yeah, but it was like, this is a different world. I'm not sure if it's like...
It's the same thing.
It's like one of those things where it's like, is this something like that we're supposed to know what we're transporting? That's something we negotiate ahead of time to know what it is?
You do know what it is. So since Phandalin is a frontier town, you're delivering supplies. Basic thing.
Right. So basic food stuff and day-to-day necessities.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I will have you all take this opportunity, chit-chat a little bit, introduce your players on kind of a meta level, I guess. Give like a physical description of kind of who you are, what you look like. I don't know. Do you have cool scars? Carrying like a big sword? Like, what's your deal?
You want to go first, Mouse?
I can. So I'm playing as Laz Eliren of the Eliren family, coming from a noble household, though he's a bit of a runaway. I'll get into that in a minute. I'll read his bio, but he's of average height and build. He's a half-elf, and he is a wizard who primarily studied transmutation magic, as he likes to bend the world with magic rather than words, unlike his family. I would say he has green eyes, red hair, and wears a big yellow long coat with red trim and blue highlighting. That would probably be a pretty apt description of him, I would say.
Excellent.
Do you want the backstory part?
No, just the description and kind of what the other characters know of him, like how he's acted the last couple of...
Well, he is very much a city dweller. He's only recently run away, trying to make a name for himself and more so his family to prove a point. And he has said that a couple times, though doesn't like to openly admit he's part of a royal family. Or noble family, not really royal. So, he's, how do we put this? Been surprised by the most common of things you find in the countryside and the outside walls of the city. And probably more scared than he should be.
All right. Anything else?
I would say those are the major notes for him of how most people have seen him. Uh, I hesitate to call him annoying but harmless. I don't think people would find him annoying, but they'd probably find him a bit annoying because I'd imagine other people understand how the outside world works.
Gotcha. So next, how do you know Gundren? How did you meet this dwarf, and how did you come to be?
Okay, Gungeon Rockseeker. Well, Um, as a child, something that Lars always liked to do was to go to trade districts and talk with people, specifically the dwarves. He loved hearing their stories about where they've gone and where they've been. He loved the idea of the outside world, not so much the reality. And when he finally decided to go out on his own to try and make some name for himself and prove his life path, he came across a listing for this job, which was as simple as escorting this supplies from one area to another. And since he is fluent in Dwarvish, he thought it would be quite easy to do and communicate with the parties involved, considering there were many dwarves involved in the area.
Okay, so you're rather new to his.
I would say so, yes. He's new to the region and new to his employment.
All right. Anybody want to go next?
Sure, why not? Oh, unless
Yeah,
you want
I don't
to.
have a preference. Pines, if you want to go next, that's fine. I don't have a preference.
All right. Sure. I will be playing as Garhi. That is just Garhi. No last name because I didn't think that far ahead. Anyway, he essentially grew up along the Sword Coast, in a small fishing village. Worked there basically all his life, and suddenly there was a odd famine in their area. They just stopped being able to catch fish. His town kind of crumbled, and with that basically being all behind him, and he basically just needed to work to live, provide for his old folks that are retired. He decided to take up adventuring because fishing was not doing it anymore. So went to the biggest town he could, which I guess in this case would be Neverwinter. It's a pretty big place. Um, Started looking for work there. Eventually, landed a job with Gundren Rockseeker, and he's been working with him for a little bit now. Maybe a few months at this point.
All right. All right. Fishbird, you want to go next?
Sure. So I have my notes open. Also trying to remember how to pronounce Elvish.
Elvish. Or
Elvish
Elfish, you
Presley.
can say either.
Sorry.
So I'll be playing as a half-elf cleric named Toa Nodakir, who grew up in a remote human village, found himself very proficient at a young age for being able to disguise himself with magic. It's one of the first magic he learned how to do. This, however, got him in trouble later down the line as he ended up unwillingly part of another person's scheme to murder his elven father by manipulating the fact that Toa can disguise himself to look like someone else. He tried to force his father into a scenario where he murders Toa without realizing that he killed his own son, sort of thing, in his own self-defense. However, it turned out the father was more perceptive than the would-be schemer, if you will, let on, saw through Toa's disguise, realizing his predicament, and with the help of his twin younger siblings, escaped the village, a place where he never plans to return. However, the fact he'd been branded as an assassin never really seemed to outrun him. He never seemed to outrun it, excuse me. The thing is, though, is that as he has the ability to make himself look like other people, his only true saving grace is the fact no one actually knows what he looks like. They hear the name many places, but no one actually has an idea of what the real Toa looks like. So, for reference, what the real Toa does look like is kind of a bookwormy half-elf that you would expect to see someone who has barely ran in his life.
I would imagine fairly petite, short, big
Yeah,
glasses maybe.
A what?
Big glasses maybe.
Yeah. Someone who uses the fact he's very persuasive and has good book knowledge, and by being observant, he's learned to read people. And so by disguising himself as someone else, he's been able to get out of a lot of his scenarios without fighting at all. He prefers, if he has to fight, to make the fight as unfair for the enemy as possible by manipulating just about anything and everything around him to his own advantage, or to change his form to allow an escape, should the situation become unfavorable. However, due to his own knowledge of how manipulation works, he lives in a kind of constant fear of it being used against him, as basically the whole reason he had to flee his village in the first place, which is one of the main reasons he is traveling across the continent to find definite proof of who exactly it was and why. The only real clue he has is that it was some form of elven politics with his father and some other elf. That's about all he knows. In his travel, though, he found the fact that he learned how to speak Goblin to be way more useful than he ever cares to admit. As it's easy to hide from someone disguised as a goblin. Because no one suspects an elf to be a goblin.
True.
All right. And
as for appearance, other than kind of like a short figure, almost feminine looking, which he has used as a disguise to his advantage many a time. He also wields kind of like a dark colored robe, kind of like a navyish blue, darker greens, those sort of colors. As for a weapon, he wields a quarterstaff that's almost as big as he is, effectively using it as a multi-tool to check terrain and also to simply push enemies away from him. Not that he's that strong to begin with, but the idea of trying to keep knives away from him as far as possible appeals to him.
How do you know Gundren?
So, as he has become observant, as he is an observant type person, he's heard his name pop up a few times about some form of secret that he has found through his connections, through different location he's been over the years, to where he's kind of following the dwarf to try and see if his big secret in any way whatsoever ties back to the politics that he was looking at. After all, a lot of rumors all of a sudden kind of popped up about this, so he's kind of here mainly to figure out what all the fuss is about.
Gotcha.
Without really trying to reveal what he's here for, figuring that most people have secrets.
So he sought Gundren out and kind of asked for a job, presented himself as like someone for hire.
In a way, the way he presented himself was kind of cautious. Using disguised self, he basically approached him saying, "I know this person who might be helpful to you," to end up introducing himself
I
at a later
see.
date.
So he introduced himself as someone else, and then later, with
Yeah,
that introduction, kind of.
right, to first see if the secret, to potentially see if the secret was even worth pursuing in the first place, and after determining it was, after approaching Gunther as multiple people, recommended himself in the end to see if nothing else, the objects that are potentially searching for may assist him in his task.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cautious, very secret. All right. Well, I'd say that about does it for introductions. Now we probably have time for a bit more. You guys are on Tribor Trail. So you've been on the Tribor Trail for about half a day. As you come around a bend, spot two dead horses, sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking the path. Each has several black feathered arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here, with a steep embankment of dense. Pay no attention to the name.
Oh, let me pick it up. I probably shouldn't do that.
That's fine.
Okay.
If you want to get some miniatures to set them on.
Oh, you
on
you have
here.
to give us permissions to spawn items.
Oh
Yeah.
Let me spawn some items for you. Can you get?
I'm assuming the arrows are easily enough to identify from this distance.
Hmm.
Arrows, you can very.
By the way,
So
you can right click the object and change its name too. By the way,
Yeah, if you guys want to. Who wants to be who?
You got any
oh,
ones
they,
with
they
a,
have there's an RPG tab with characters with bases and all that.
Yeah, let's see.
you got any with a spear?
Heroes.
Perhaps?
I should probably use these. All right. So I've got a knight, a mage, ranger, thief, and a warrior. What's what?
I'll take the mage.
You.
I guess knight is about as close as possible to what I'm using, so.
Ranger will look different enough that it'll identify me, or else we'll have to duplicate the mage.
Good. And then let me just.
And you got your lift height set really high.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was talking to Pides.
Change the.
So who is anyone driving the wagon right now?
Anybody can be driving the way currently.
Who wants to drive the wagon?
I'll take wagon driving.
It would probably make the most sense if your character did, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm
Doesn't-
just used to watching. That's all.
doesn't quite steer like a boat, but it'll do.
At least you know how to. At least you know how to steer a boat. I barely just got the grasp of how to ride a horse.
Close enough. Yeah. So I'm assuming you stopped the oxen because the road is blocked. Horses will at least need to be moved before you can continue on, and it's a bit of an ill omen. There are two dead horses ahead of you.
My first question is, do these two horses look anything like the two we saw our, wow, I'm already forgetting his name, and then,
The fighter
Thunder?
and the dwarf. I won't
Yeah.
be able to remember names.
His name was Gundren, I believe.
It's difficult to tell from this distance. Stopped where you are. You have some sort of like a look glass or
Do we have a specific
Oh.
map
This is our map.
No. I mean, physically, like a map of the road on our person.
So, let me this
Right here is where we are.
yeah, right there.
So
So
we're right around this bend in the eastern half.
you're
I'd imagine.
right around here. Pretty much right there.
All right.
Let's see.
Well,
Uh,
question. How does turn initiative work in this, or if there is any?
well, I would say first we have to have a combat actually start.
guess
We haven't
that's true.
gotten there yet.
Well, I I guess we should get to that then.
But it's like my first consideration would be.
What are we fighting? You want to beat a dead horse?
No, I don't want to be the dead horse. I think we should go take a look at that. We
All right.
how can we see the arrows? We can see what they are. Who may or may not have done this.
My first thought would be, did we hear anything about bandits in this particular area, or is this random?
I mean, we've been told that there are bandits in this area for a while now, right? We haven't seen a single one. This could be related. You could be right there, but we're not going to know unless we go take a look. Gothis, stop the wagon.
Okay. 1 second. Whoa there. Slow it down. All
The
right.
wagon
Alright.
slows to a stop.
All right, you two stay here in case something goes wrong. I'm going to check it out, okay? But Lars jumps off the wagon with a huff and hesitates for a moment before
Ye-
eventually walking down the path.
You
I-
sure
I-
you
I-
don't want someone to come with you?
Lars stops and turns around. If you want to come, you can, but I think somebody should stay on the reins. And Toa, do you know how to drive a cart?
Probably.
Okay, then you're coming with me. Gothis, stay on the cart.
Okie.
I was like, perhaps I should make myself look like someone else. You think maybe not looking as dainty as this would dissuade someone? Granted, it probably is not the best idea to show that I can do that. So perhaps not.
I would say we'll just take a look for now and we'll deal with that.
Oh, right.
All right, come along now.
I'm just going to stay, like, on the north side of the path.
Toa stands back as Lars somewhat eagerly approaches.
Yeah,
the
I like
horses.
follow behind at an angle, slightly behind.
I do not have a good feeling about.
Oh. I felt
Oh,
Where'd he go?
Oh no! It happened. The ground opened up and swallowed him.
Okay, I got you. You're back. Lars stops a few meters away from the horse, recoiling away at the sight. Oh, I forgot how messy these can be. These arrows look intriguing. I should take a better look at these.
Yeah,
As Lars-
I would advise not doing that and going back to the cart, because that's a lot of arrows.
Lars ignores his warnings and walks forward, very anxiously approaching.
I start
"Oh,
looking
this
at the
is
northern
nasty.
tree line. Like, can I roll perception for what may be in the northern tree line?
Absolutely. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Nice. Let's do some plastic.
Okay. So yeah, so like looking in the northern part of the tree line near where I'm standing.
Excellent. All right.
Oh, you
Go
can
ahead
just
and
lock the board.
roll a d20 and add your perception model. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, roll dice. That's not how you roll a dice.
Just like fling it, or if you want to use the flick option, you can click on it and then just click the dice.
That's a 4 perception modifier. Oh, is that if I have skill in it?
Yeah. So look down
okay,
at your skills. You'll see like a plus or a minus.
Okay, well, yeah, I just see a check mark or not. I do not have a bonus in perception, so
You
4.
hit the save
Um,
icon to see your numbers.
Yes. So you're also going to need to save. So click the save button in the corner, and it will finalize them. If you see a check mark or not, doesn't matter. Just
Oh, okay.
just
I
means
have a.
whether or not-
I see it. I didn't scroll up enough. I have a +2 proficiency bonus.
+2. Okay, so that turns out to be a 6. So as you stare into the darkened woods, it's really difficult to make out what's in there. The foliage is very dense, and the day is very bright. Your eyes have not adjusted yet. Can't really tell what's going.
Yep, just trees and bushes. About what I expected. Nothing overly exciting.
Okay. So Lars, as you approach the dead horses, you see that the saddlebags have been. Nearby lies an empty leather. Want to lean in and take a closer look
At the horses or the case?
at the
You-
at the horse or the case.
You know,
Either way.
I in general will just take a look. Yeah, that's the whole reason I even got off the horse. He's a bit squeamish about it, but he'll take a look.
So you get in close, and you are frightened half to death when an arrow comes flying out of the woods from this side, embeds itself in the horse here, and misses your face by inches.
Oh dear heavens!
Lars, the trees are speaking arrows.
All right, everybody, roll initiative.
Okay.
That's going to be the 20-sided die. Roll that. Add your initiative modifier, which you should be able to see up.
All right, I will give it a roll. Initiative. I gotta find that on my sheet. You said near the top.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. I got a +2. Okay, there it is. Roll.
That's better than mine.
Ooh, I got a 14. So that is +2, so that's 16.
Okay, I guess. Pines, do you want to roll it next, or you want me to roll next?
Sure. 11 plus 1 is 12.
All right, so give me your modifiers again.
I have a +1 to initiative.
Gotcha.
So
And what did you
I just-
roll? What did you roll, Tawa?
Oh, he hasn't rolled yet.
Oh, what did you roll, Mouse?
Oh, I rolled a 14 and I have a +2 to initiative.
Got it. Toa?
All right. I'm rolling. I have a 0.
So
Plus
whatever
or
you
minus.
roll, that's what you roll.
Whoop.
and
Okay.
goodbye,
Oh, there it is.
guys. Goodbye.
My
10.
people need
10.
me. Right. 10.
Bring that back over here.
Gotcha. So, this goblin decides to attack with a melee attack. He runs 5, 15, 20. Closes the distance between you, Lars, and he's
Oh no! Oh no! I got an achievement for that.
Nice.
did as well. He goes ahead and attacks you. So that ends up being scimitar. That's a 14. What's your armor class?
Armor class is 12.
12. Gotcha. So that hits. If it's above your armor class, then it hits. So
Ouch.
scimitar deals. That. Ooh, you took
Jeez.
8 damage. How much HP do you have?
8.
Okay. So you're down.
Oh, great.
Mike didn't pick that up very well.
So that is you. Next up is this other goblin here. Going to try a ranged attack on you, Tawa.
Toa.
Toa. Sorry, I have to remember that. Pronounce it like bionicle. Okay.
bionic.
So that is a 12 to hit. What's your AC?
10.
10. Okay, so that hits. 6 plus 2. So that is 7 total damage.
Well, that's also a 1-hit KO.
Woof. All right.
Jeez.
Got the KO exactly.
All right, Lars, go ahead and roll a death saving throw.
Oh, okay. What? 1d20, I guess.
Yes, so that's 1d20. If it's above 10, you save. If it's below 10, you fail. And then you just track that on your character sheet. You've already subtracted the HP there.
Oh, so I minus to 0, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you don't have any modifiers, so just roll the 20-sided die. Okay, so that's a fail. So mark one failure on your character sheet. Gary,
Where does that go?
Hello.
it goes there should be failures and successes. Once you reach 0 HP, hit save.
Oh, I had to hit save. Gotcha. There we go. One fail.
Okay, Gary, it's your turn.
I did not sign up for this. He's gonna hop off of the cart. Each tile is what? 5? Okay, so that we'll say he's starting off there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. Yeah. We are gonna make a throwing attack with one of my apparently many ranged weapons. It's gonna be the hand axe.
Gotcha. Which one are you targeting?
The one closest to me.
Okay. So go ahead and make an attack roll. Roll the 20-sided die.
Yep.
Add your modifier.
That is. It looks like a +4.
+4. Okay, so that's an 8. That does not hit. So they deflect the blow on one of the pieces of their armor that's studded with metal and splatters to the ground around.
Well, all right.
I
don't think I can. I can't be. Oh wait, I get. 1 second. Does that already take into account the throwing fighter class thing, or I don't remember how you set that up on the sheet. All it is a +2 to attack rolls with throwing weapons.
Oh, that would just be an additional +2, but that's still.
Okay. Well,
oh no, that's just to the damage.
Oh, just the damage. Okay. Well,
Okay,
never mind. Either way.
Get a +4 actually.
Yeah. So with
this goblin aims a shot at you with its short bow. 7. What's your armor class?
16.
It just kind of ricochets off of your. So Toa, I'm gonna need to roll a death save as well.
I need 10 or better. What's the modifier used?
0.
Okay. So just straight up 50-50. 3. So
That's
nope.
a fail.
I am so sorry that this is you two's first experience.
Everything I wanted.
Don't worry, this isn't the end.
On the bright side, I did correctly predict which direction, but it cost me an arrow.
Honestly, I probably should have tried to be a bit more smart about the approach, honestly, but I just really wanted to get into it.
I was actually gambling the attack was on the south side. That's why I wanted to look to the north, hopefully see them, and if they were there, run away. But they were on the north side, and I didn't see them.
Okay,
Sure.
goblin move.
All right, so this goblin moves 5, 6, closes ranks with you, and is going to attempt attack your character. Scimitar attack. So that is a 16 to hit.
I have 16 armor class.
If
so.
it meets it, it beats.
Gotcha.
Both ways. So if it rolls your armor class. So that is a 8
Okay.
slashing damage.
That's gonna. All right. I'm still standing.
All right. Now this goblin takes the opportunity to try and start looting Lars's body. So it's
Oh, great.
distracted and it spends its turn doing that. This one kind of comes out of the bushes a little bit, turns toward Arthas, considers you for a moment, appears to decide that you're not worth his time, and joins his friend, looting Lars's body. Lars, make a death save. Alright, that's a success.
So wipe mark 1 on success, I guess.
Correct. Gary, it's your turn.
Okay. We are just gonna make a melee attack on the one right in front of me.
Alright, go ahead and roll.
That's gonna be oh, that is too far.
Perfectly fine.
15.
Plus your modifier.
That's +4.
Okay. So go ahead and roll for damage.
All right, that's a d6 +2.
That's 5 damage to. Alright, you get a solid hit. I think I will make you aware of some screws on your character sheet. First level, you get Bill's feet. You get Second Wind, which allows you a bonus action. Regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level.
Okay.
So,
Well,
track of
I'm
whether
gonna.
a bonus action is in combination to a regular action. So you can do that this turn, or you can this turn.
No, I'm definitely using it this turn.
Right. Roll a 10-sided die, which is this guy right here.
Okay.
That is 9 plus your fighter level, which is 1. You regain 10 hit points.
Okay.
Again until.
Yep. We're
All right.
back in the game, baby.
So Goblin number 1 here made a cry of pain, and Goblin number 2 is just like, "Hey yo, what's that about?" And so he rocks up, aims a bow attack at you again. Rolls a.
Yeah, that hits.
Yeah. So that's 3 damage.
Okay.
Piercing. Toa, make a death save.
Lovely.
No!
All right, on 3 death saves, your character dies.
Unfortunate.
All right. Goblin number 1 is going to try and attack you again. He screams defiantly and attempts to swing at you with a scimitar. Rolls a 20.
Yep, that hits.
So far he did 3 slashing damage.
Okay.
So Goblin number 3 and 4 are again preoccupied. They kind of look over and like squint their eyes at Goblin 1 and 2, but they genuinely kind of distracted by the loot. They're rifling through Lars's pockets.
Of course, I'm the rich guy.
Very quickly. There's like a pool of blood spreading out from your fallen body. Make another death save.
At this point, Lars has lost consciousness. Oh, I guess that's a 7. It got stuck on the dice there.
If it's cocked, like if it lands on something and doesn't lay flat, I'll say you can.
Okay. It's not gonna really change. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
This is going poorly.
You talking
I mean,
about?
hey,
This
it's
is
literally
fine.
the start. If things go bad, we can just start over.
All right. So that's another failure. Gary, it's your turn.
Okay. We're gonna let me see something real quick. Let me see. Oh, okay. So that's only if I attack first. All right. We are gonna just melee the boy in front of me again.
Hit him.
Meh.
Woof.
All right. You know what? I have a way to make this less awful. We're gonna invoke Polar Masters thing. I get to do a second melee attack, but it's weaker and it just uses a D4.
Okay.
Alright. Oh, well.
You try. He's way up in your
I
business.
tried.
He's going goblin mode on you.
He really
damn.
is.
These
All right.
goblins are cracked.
I got nothing else.
So, all right. The goblin in the bushes levels another attack at you. That is a 12 to hit.
Nope, not
Cling.
happening.
Ricochet is off of your shield. Toa, excuse me. Take me a while. The W is messing with. Make a death save.
It's like, I'll probably die, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. As promised.
Okay, is that three fails?
That's 3. 3 in a row, I just die.
Oh boy, you expire permanently in a pool of your own blood on this trail. Alright, goblin number 1 attacks you again. Garthus. That is an 11 to hit.
Nope.
Right. That does not hit, just kind of ricochets off your shield. These keep looting. Don't really have to worry about them. Lars, another death save, if you please.
Oh, thank goodness you're so rich.
I have a lot in my point curse.
Oof, that's a fail.
Well, yeah, I'm dead.
Okay, you expire permanently. Pockets.
This has gone well.
this got dark.
It's like the opening of like Goblin Slayers.
Garthus, go ahead and attack again.
Yep, we're gonna try again. Here we go.
Oh,
There we go.
your polearm embeds itself in the dirt beside the goblin as it sidesteps your blow.
Great.
You have a bonus action to try again with polearm mastery if you want, though.
Sure, let's give that a go. Maybe we'll kill a single goblin.
All right.
12.
With your bonus, what is that?
That would be 16 after the bonus.
Okay, that hits. Roll damage.
Okay, that's a D4. There you are.
Okay. Are there any modifiers to that?
No.
Okay, so that's 1 point of damage to goblin number 1. You land another solid hit. It's feeling it now, Mr. Krabs.
Oh, yippee. Alright, I feel
Signed up
like
for a bit more than you thought you would, huh?
I feel like this isn't going well, and I should probably run for my cart.
Okay. So you're going to take this opportunity to flee?
Yes.
All right. So now we get to learn about attacks of opportunity. So go ahead and
Yep.
make a run for it. As you do, he makes one last attack now that your back is turned.
Yep.
That costs action.
Oh boy.
Oh
Are
no!
you kidding me?
Ridiculous. All right. This
He
is how
nicked
the
an
game
artery.
wants to go. The fates have spoken. This is how the game starts. All right.
We all die.
Hey, it's okay. This was all just this is session 0. This is all a fever dream. It didn't happen.
Yeah. All right.
It's all a nightmare.
So let's go ahead and roll for damage. So let's
This is this critical success.
go
Yeah.
ahead and so since it's a critical hit, they roll twice
You can
the
tap
dice.
R to roll them.
Yeah,
too.
this is both for players and for NPC or enemies. So that deals 6 plus 2, so 8 damage to you.
You may not die from that.
My health says otherwise.
Are you at 0
Okay.
HP?
I took, for whatever reason, it decided to reset my health back up to 12. I know I took 3 last turn.
And you took
I'm-
another big hit earlier.
I healed up from that one
Oh,
at
you
the
did heal up
beginning.
from that one.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna just say I'm probably dead here.
Okay, go ahead and roll 3 death saving throws. Fade to black. You don't know what the goblins do.
One.
Success. Fail.
Fail. 2.
Success. 2 successes.
All it takes is 2 more fails.
That's another third success. Okay.
Okay.
So you succeed 3 times, and we will continue next session with Garthus reviving spontaneously on the road, and I will let you know what happens. But that brings us to time.
Okay.
All right. Well, all things
That-
considered,
I died.
we both died.
Let's go full party wipe on episode 1.
Almost. Very, very nearly. Not even. No time to
Am I gonna have
introduce
to
the
make another
characters.
character now?
We'll talk about it. We'll see what we're doing.
Because I really want to play as country bumpkin who doesn't know what he's doing. Otherwise, it's gonna be Oonga Boonga. I speak 3 words.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure out what happens. All right, I'm gonna start the stream here.
That's a good note to end it on.